Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there?
Or maybe you've been in the middle of a story and suddenly poof, the name you were trying to remember just vanished.
If that sounds familiar, let me tell you, you're not alone.
It's something that happens to so many of us, especially as we get older.
But here's the good news. Just because we age doesn't mean our brains have to slow down. In fact, your brain is a lot like a muscle. The more you use it in the right ways, the stronger and sharper it becomes. And the best part, you don't need fancy apps, expensive books, or complicated routines to keep your mind sharp.
Sometimes, all it takes is a few fun, simple activities you can do every single day, many of them completely free. In this video, we're going to talk about 7
brain games that actually work. These aren't gimmicks.
These are real, engaging ways to challenge your brain, keep it active, and even improve your memory, focus, and mood. And you don't need to be a tech whiz or a crossword champion to benefit.
You just need a little curiosity and maybe a smile. Let me start by saying this. Keeping your brain sharp doesn't mean sitting down with a textbook. In fact, one of the most effective ways to train your mind is through play.
Yes, play. That thing we used to do as kids and somehow forgot to keep doing. Play isn't just for children, it's how humans of all ages learn best.
So the more we allow ourselves to be playful, the more alive our minds become. Let's begin with something wonderfully simple. Word games.
Not the kind that make you feel like you're taking a test, but the kind that gently stretch your mind while still feeling like fun. For example, think about the last time you played a game of categories. You pick a letter, say S, and try to name a fruit, an animal, a country, a movie, and a hobby that start with that letter.
It sounds light-hearted, but what you're doing is activating your recall, your vocabulary, and your mental flexibility all
at once. Another favorite?
Rhyming games. You pick a word, maybe cake, and challenge yourself to come up with as many rhyming words as possible. Bake, make, lake, rake.
Now, try the same game, but backwards. You come up with a list of
rhyming words and try to guess the original. It's silly, it's creative, and it lights up areas of your brain you might not use in everyday life. Now, if you're more of a numbers person, don't worry.
There's something here for you too.
Basic number puzzles like mentally calculating the change you'd get if you paid $20 for something that costs $13.75 can be surprisingly good for brain health. It's not about being fast. It's about staying engaged with mental math, which sharpens your working memory and problem-solving skills. But maybe you're someone who likes storytelling more than numbers or categories. In that case, try this.
Make up a short story on the spot using 3 random objects you see around you.
A spoon, a plant, and a photo frame. Where might those take you? It doesn't need to be logical or serious. The point is to engage your imagination, and when you do that, you're lighting up some of the most powerful parts of your brain. These kinds of activities might sound like games, and they are, but underneath the surface, they're strengthening your mental agility, memory, focus, and even your ability to adapt to new challenges. And the beauty is, they can be done anywhere, in your living room, while waiting for the kettle to boil, even while chatting with a friend. And speaking of chatting, let me share another powerful brain game that requires nothing more than a good conversation. It's called Story Exchange. You and a friend each tell a short story about something that happened in your lives. Then, a few minutes later, you try to retell each other's stories as accurately as possible. It's not a competition, it's a joyful exercise in listening, memory, and connection. Plus, it usually leads to laughter, which is another great brain booster. You see, your brain loves novelty. It's CIV surprise, variety, and creativity. And the more we feed it those things, the more vibrant it stays.
That's why routines, while comforting, should always leave a little space for newness. Trying a new recipe, learning a new song,
walking a new route. Each time you do something unfamiliar, you're building new connections in your brain, and that's what keeps it flexible and sharp. So, whether it's playing word games over breakfast, making up stories while folding laundry, or challenging
a friend to a category duel, you're not just passing time.
You're investing in your brain's future.
You're telling your mind, I care about you. I want you strong, and I am willing to give you the attention you deserve. Let's keep going. And look at some more playful, powerful ways to give your brain a daily tune-up. Now that we've warmed up your brain with some playful language and storytelling games, let's explore even more ways to keep your mind alert, flexible, and full of life without ever needing to sit down with a textbook or stare at a screen.
You don't need anything fancy, just a willingness to try something new and let yourself enjoy the process. Have you ever tried a memory walk?
This one's a hidden gem. The next time you go for a stroll, either around your home or out in the neighborhood, pay close attention to the things you see along the way.
Maybe it's the red mailbox at the corner, the little cat napping under the porch, or the woman walking her dog in the yellow raincoat.
Then, when you return home, try to recall as many of those details as you can.
Not just what you saw, but in what order you saw them.
This simple little challenge taps into your short-term memory and strengthens your observation skills.
Plus, it turns a regular walk into something mentally invigorating. If going outside isn't an option, you can do a similar version inside.
Take a mental snapshot of a room in your house. How many cushions on the couch?
What color was the mug on the table?
Was the lamp on or off? Then close your eyes and try to recall it all. You might be surprised by how much you remember and even more surprised by what you don't.
And that's a good thing.
Because that gap between what you notice and what you miss is where the brain starts to grow. Let's talk now about one of the most overlooked, yet powerful brain exercises of
all, pattern recognition. Your brain loves to find patterns.
That's how it organizes the world.
But over time, if we don't challenge that skill, it begins to dull. That's why pattern games are so valuable.
You can create them on the spot. Think of a simple sequence like clapping twice, then snapping your fingers once, and then repeat it a few times.
Now change the pattern. Clap, snap, clap, pause. Try doing it with your hands, or even with movement step forward, step back, turn in a circle. These patterns wake up the part of your brain responsible for coordination, attention, and rhythm. It's almost like dancing with your brain. Speaking of rhythm, have you ever noticed how music can stir something deep inside you? Music isn't just entertainment. It's a full body, full mind experience. One of the best ways to sharpen your brain is to challenge it musically.
And you don't have to be a musician to do this. Try learning the lyrics to a new song, or tapping out a beat with a spoon on the kitchen table, then repeating it. Or hum a tune and try to guess what song it is without any lyrics. These little music games improve auditory memory and creative thinking.
Plus, they're just fun, and that joy you feel while doing them.
That's another form of brain fuel. Now let's say you prefer a more quiet challenge, something that invites deep focus. Try a game I like to call 20 Questions with Myself. You think of a person, real or fictional, and then ask yourself yes or no questions until you guess who it is.
Is it someone I know personally?
Are they still alive? Were they an actor?
It seems simple, but what you're actually
doing is sharpening deductive reasoning and holding multiple pieces of information in your working memory.
And when you do that regularly, your thinking becomes faster, more organized, and more flexible. Another option, if you're spending time with a grandchild, neighbor, or friend, is to swap this game with them.
Let them pick a person or object, and you be the one asking questions. Suddenly, it becomes not only a mental workout, but a social one.
And social engagement is huge for brain health.
Laughter, eye contact, shared joy, these experiences light up your brain like a Christmas tree. Now, let's shift to a brain game that might surprise you. Organizing.
Yes, organizing.
Rearranging a drawer or sorting your spice rack might not sound like a mental challenge, but it absolutely is.
When you sort objects by size, color, or frequency of use, your brain has to make dozens of micro decisions. It's evaluating, prioritizing, and creating systems, all of which boost cognitive function.
So next time you're tidying up the junk drawer, pat yourself on the back.
You're not just cleaning, you're exercising your mind. You might be thinking,
that's all great, but what if I forget to do these games?
That's where routine can become your best friend.
Pick one brain game and attach it to something you already do.
While brushing your teeth, maybe you challenge yourself to recall 5 things you saw on the news.
When you're waiting for your toast to pop, try rhyming a word out loud.
Over time, these moments add up, and without even realizing it, your brain
becomes more alert, more resilient, and more energized. The most important thing to remember is this: brain games don't need to feel like work. In fact, the more fun you're having, the more effective they are.
Your brain thrives on curiosity, joy, and challenge.
And yes, you are never too old to keep learning, stretching, and surprising yourself. Let's keep going with more daily habits that will fire up your mental clarity and help your brain stay young, alert, and full of life. Now that you've started to see how powerful even the smallest challenges can be for your brain, let's talk about one of the most enjoyable and stimulating games of all imagination.
Yes, your imagination is still alive and well, no matter your age, and using it regularly is one of the most underrated ways to boost your cognitive strength. Try this sometime. Imagine planning a trip, even if it's only in your mind. Where would you go? What would you pack? What meals would you try? What kind of weather would you expect? And what clothes would you need for each day?
As you picture the scenes walking through a cobbled street in Italy or sitting beside a peaceful lake in Canada, you are not just daydreaming. You're engaging memory, visualization, planning, and problem solving all at once.
It's a full brain experience, and it costs nothing. If you want to take it up a notch, write down your imagined trip, step by step.
It doesn't need to be perfect.
Writing just get the thoughts out. This helps anchor abstract ideas into language, which gives your memory even more exercise.
You'll find that using your mind this way not only sharpens it, but also lifts your mood. There's something deeply energizing about imagining possibilities. Now, let's move to something a little more tactile: puzzles. I don't just mean
the classic jigsaw kind. Though those are wonderful, puzzles come in many forms. It could be a crossword, a Sudoku, a riddle, or even something as simple as figuring out a way to store all your Tupperware without the lids falling off every time you open the cabinet. Every little puzzle asks your brain to look for patterns, make connections, and experiment with different solutions. These are the very same mental processes that help prevent cognitive decline. If puzzles aren't your thing, try cooking from
memory.
Choose a favorite recipe you haven't made in a while, and see how much of it you can recall without looking it up.
The ingredients, the steps, the timing, it's all there in your mind, just waiting to be pulled back into action. And if you forget something along the way, no problem.
That little stretch, that effort to retrieve, is where the real growth happens. Your brain loves a good challenge, and the more you challenge it, the stronger it becomes. You might also enjoy switching things up during your normal routine.
For example, try brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, or take a different route to the grocery store. These tiny shifts force your brain out of autopilot. It has to pay attention again, make new connections, and stay engaged with the present moment.
That kind of active focus is exactly what keeps your brain resilient as you age. One of my personal favorites, and this may sound strange, is simply narrating what I am doing out loud.
You might feel a little silly at first, but talking through your actions like, now I'm slicing this apple.
The knife is sharp, so I need to go slow, brings mindfulness into ordinary moments.
It also strengthens your verbal processing and short-term memory. Plus, it can help reduce the feeling of rushing through tasks.
You slow down, become more deliberate, and your brain gets a chance to breathe and focus. Before we wrap up, I want
to leave you with a few thoughts that I hope stay with you. First, your brain is always capable of change. Scientists call it neuroplasticity, but all that means is your brain can learn, adapt, and form new pathways no matter your age. That's not just good news, it's life-changing.
Every time you do one of these games, every time you push yourself just a little bit out of your comfort zone, you are literally strengthening your mind. Second, these brain games don't need to be a chore. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is engagement, play,
curiosity. The more you enjoy the activity, the better it works.
So pick the ones that feel natural to you. Maybe it's storytelling, maybe it's puzzles, maybe it's rhythm or music, or simply walking and noticing the
world around you.
Whatever it is, let it be fun. And finally, don't underestimate the value of consistency.
Doing a few minutes a day while waiting for your tea to brew, while sitting in the garden, or even as you fall asleep can have a real and lasting effect on your memory, your mood, and your overall sharpness. Small steps led to big change. If
any of these games brought a smile to your face or sparked an idea, I'd love to hear about it.
Let me know in the comments what you tried and how it felt.
Maybe you even have a brain game of your own that works wonders. Feel free to share it so others can benefit too. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button.
We've got more practical, uplifting content coming your way, because staying sharp, healthy, and happy after 60 should feel like an adventure, not a chore. Thanks so much for spending this time with me.
Keep your brain curious, your heart open,
and remember, you're never too old to play, laugh, or grow.
Here's to living your best life at any age. Now, before we finish, let's take a moment to remember why all of this matters.
Our brains are more than just machines that help us think or remember birthdays. They are the heart of who we are, our personalities, our stories, our laughter, and even our ability to love and connect.
And just like our bodies need daily movement to stay strong, our minds need playful, thoughtful exercise to stay vibrant. That's why even the smallest daily mental habits can have such a powerful ripple effect. A simple word game over your morning, coffee, a few minutes of memory recall while folding laundry, a conversation where you really focus, not just on what you want to say next, but on listening with curiosity.
These aren't just pastimes.
These are ways to keep the lights on upstairs, to keep the doors open to joy and learning and surprise. And there's one more brain game I want to share with you today.
It's often overlooked, but it's one of the most beautiful ways to build
A sharp and resilient mind, and that's storytelling. Not writing a novel or anything complicated. Just the simple act of telling a story. It could be a memory from childhood, a funny thing that happened last week, or even how you met your best friend.
When you recall events, put them into order, add little details, and share them out loud.
You're exercising memory, language, and emotion all at once.
If you tell that story to someone else, especially someone younger, you're also making connections, passing wisdom, and building bridges between generations. So here's an idea. Once a week, pick a memory, big or small, and tell it to someone. Or record yourself talking, or write it down in a journal, even if no one ever sees it.
Over time, you'll create a treasure chest not just for your family, but for yourself.
And you'll be keeping your mind active in one of the most powerful ways possible. Now, I know some days are better than others. There might be days when your thoughts feel foggy, or your motivation just isn't there.
That's okay. That's normal. The goal here isn't perfection, it's consistency. Just like watering a plant or walking your dog, the benefits add up over time. It's not about how fast you do it. It's about showing up for yourself, little by little, every single day. And if you're ever worried that it's too late, or that you've missed your chance to protect your memory, please hear this.
It is never too late.
The brain is always listening, always growing, always hungry for something new. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond. Every step you take toward mental activity, no matter how small, matters.
You can still build new connections, strengthen your memory, and feel sharper and more confident in your daily life. So as we close, think about which of these brain games spoke to you most.
Maybe it was wordplay, or mental math, or imagination, or storytelling. Whichever ones you enjoy, start with those. Let them be your mental playground. No pressure, no rules, just you, your curiosity, and a few moments of daily fun. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried any of these games already?
Did one of them surprise you?
What do you do to keep your mind active?
Drop your ideas
in the comments below, and let's create a space where we all learn from each other. If this video helped you or made you smile, give it a thumbs up so more people can find it. And if you want more tips like these, simple, enjoyable, and designed just for life after 60, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got more inspiration, health advice, and brain-boosting ideas coming your way. You're doing something powerful just by being here, by choosing to stay engaged, to keep learning, and to care for your mind. That's something to be proud of. So here's to you.
To every new word you learn, every puzzle you solve, and every laugh you share. Here's to a sharper, brighter, and more joyful you one day, and one brain game at a time.